It's 10 a.m. in Douala, the country's economic capital. You're welcome to The Brief, the very first for the week, live on My Media Prime Television, a program where we get to dig several layers beneath the major headlines as relayed by newspapers in the country. On today's edition of the program, we are revisiting the sad incident which happened in a condo Titi where the mayor and DO were all killed in a bomb blaster in a locality in that part of the country. We shall equally tell you the utterances or what Eneo has said. The papers this morning telling us that Eneo has justified the reasons why the nation is in total blackout. Bomotonguina Gwladys is here as usual, and let's have what she gathered in the French newspapers. Bonjour Gwladys.
Bonjour Lasha et merci une fois de plus d'être sur ce plateau avec vous ce matin.
Yeah, it's a new week and we are all here full of energy to
effectivement, effectivement, encore que c'est la semaine de la femme. Demain, on va célébrer la journée
de
la femme. Alors
necessary evil, let me put it that way.
Okay.
Women. Necessary evil, women.
No, I'm not into that.
Okay, we celebrate it and say, okay, tomorrow is their day, so
yeah,
you have to celebrate in moderation.
For sure,
yes,
for sure. It's
not
very important.
Soulever le cabas that so many are already planning to go and, have excesses. We only hope that you will meditate. It will be a day for you guys to meditate and think of how to push your families and society ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Lasha Kinsley, for the council. Bonjour à vous et merci de nous retrouver une fois de plus pour Débrief, votre émission bilingue de revue de presse sur My Media Prime Télévision. Alors, ce matin, nous allons débuter avec le journal Le Messager, lui qui nous parle de la crise anglophone au Cameroun. Pourquoi Ekondo Titi? Questionnement autour des attaques récurrentes des combattants sécessionnistes dans cette localité du sud-ouest Cameroun, au moment où le retour de la paix résonne comme un idéal lointain. Les détails sont donc en page 3 de ce journal. En page 4, le journal nous parle du territorial. La Léquier vomit donc son prophète. Alors, nous continuons toujours dans le même journal, Le Messager, qui nous parle de Dibombari. L'adjoint au maire a été interpellé par les forces de maintien de l'ordre. Les détails sont donc en page 9 de ce journal. En page 12, le journal nous parle du complexe sportif d'Olembe. Ferdinand Ngongo et le taxe sont donc forcés dos au mur. Nous continuons ce matin avec le journal Entrepreneur qui nous parle de la déstabilisation ou d'une possible déstabilisation du Cameroun. Eneo serait donc-elle la passerelle? On n'en serait pas très loin, révèle le journal, très éloigné au regard de la situation dominée par la recrudescence des coupures intempestives d'énergie électrique, aux conséquences sociales et économiques énormes que traverse le pays ces derniers temps. Dont les ménages, les petites et moyennes entreprises, tout le monde se plaint de la gravité des heures de délestage. Le pire est donc à craindre. Le journal nous donne plus de détails en pages 8, 9 et 10. Nous continuons toujours dans le même journal L'Entrepreneur qui nous parle du COBAC, installé donc dans ses fonctions le 24 février dernier par le président de la Commission bancaire de l'Afrique centrale, Maurice Christian Nkanzing. Le nouveau secrétaire général devra poursuivre l'une des missions de la COBAC, notamment le respect des normes prudentielles édictées par la COBAC en vue d'assurer la solvabilité et la liquidité des établissements de crédit de la CEMAC, protéger les intérêts des épargnes et assurer la stabilité du système bancaire sous-régional. Les détails sont donc en page 7 de ce journal. En page 4, le journal nous parle donc de la journée internationale de la femme, Social Role of Women Involving. Nous continuons toujours dans le même journal qui nous parle, lui, du Commonwealth. Le Cameroun qui a donc préparé et commémoré qui va donc commémorer le 14 mars la journée du Commonwealth. Nous continuons donc ce matin avec le journal Éco-Politique, lui qui nous parle de pénurie de denrées alimentaires au Cameroun. Quelle est donc la solution? Alors que le pays n'est pas à l'abri d'une crise alimentaire au regard de la flambée des prix des denrées de première nécessité l'électricité, la solution pour éviter l'ensevelissement réside dans la croissance de la production. Nous continuons toujours dans le même journal éco-politique, lui qui nous parle aussi du bauxite de Ngaoundal et de Minkam. Le secteur serait-il donc miné? Mesdames, Messieurs, c'est ici que nous nous arrêtons pour cette revue de presse en langue française. Place à la découverte de ces titres en langue anglaise avec toi, Lasha.
Thank you, Bomotonguina. Gwladys, let's kickstart this morning with the Guardian Post newspaper. The Guardian Post this morning is telling us that ENEO has justified reasons why there is frequent power outages across the national territory. According to the paper, the management of the National Electricity Supply Company, Energies Cameroon, ENEO, has complained or has explained why virtually the entire country has no electricity. You can get more details about the ENEO explaining to Cameroonians why there is no electricity in the country. Only in this edition of the Set newspaper on page 2, that is telling us about the ENEO issue, that almost the whole nation is thrown into darkness, and the management of the Set company says the problems range from low volume of electricity generated by all the dams in the country to poor state of infrastructure that require constant maintenance to overload of the entire national grid. We continue to talk about a Kondo Titi attack by suspected Ambazonia fighters. The recurrent Amba attacks, according to the paper, has been blamed on economic interests, porous borders. The paper goes ahead to tell us that the Kondo Titi in particular and the Indian division in general in the conflict-hit southwest region of Cameroon have of recent been in the spotlight due to recurrent attacks perpetrated reportedly by Ambazonia separatist fighters. The first gruesome attack by Ambazonia fighters in Dian was on Tuesday, June 17, 2021, when 6 divisional delegates of different ministries serving in the division were kidnapped, and the adopted were the divisional delegates of land and tenure, housing and urban development, water and energy, small and medium-sized enterprises, economy planning and regional development, and the chief of divisional service for surveys in that part of the country. Let's talk about the new city mayor of Limbe, new dawn in Limbe as a Fomengale elected city mayor. There is a new dawn, according to the paper, in Limbe in Fako division of the southwest region of Cameroon after Paul Efome Lisombe Mbole Ngale was elected new city mayor. The 44-year-old was voted into office Friday, March 4, to replace the late Mutaga Andrew Munjimba, who passed on to glory in January 2022. The new blood has the next 3 years to prove his worth, to earn the trust of his party hierarchy, his collaborators, and the population of Limbe. More details on page 6 of this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. On to the Herald Tribune newspaper this morning, which is interested in government beginning to evacuate Cameroonians trapped in Ukraine. Cameroons facilitate the evacuation, or Cameroons facilitate the evacuation of Cameroonians trapped in Ukraine, and we are told that Berlin, Cameroon, Germany has offered to assist the government of Cameroon to evacuate its citizens trapped in Ukraine. More details in this edition of the Set newspaper, and this is coming shortly after heavy criticism on government began since the citizens were trapped in Ukraine, and the government has come under heavy criticism and pressure from Cameroonians to evacuate its citizens trapped in Ukraine. Let's talk about a Kondo Titi killing of Dio, Mayor, and others in that part of the country. Preliminary reports suggest officials were out on tax drive. The paper goes ahead to tell us that there has been widespread condemnation from local and international levels since the brutal killing of the divisional officer of the Kondo Titi, the mayor, and 5 others in attack orchestrated by Ambazonia fighters or separatist fighters through the use of improvised explosive device. IED government sources indicated that the DO and other members of his delegation were on a socio-economic tour to Bekora village, where they met their demise. And further investigation by the Herald Tribune newspaper revealed that, or the source that spoke to Herald Tribune newspaper said that the delegation was on mission to collect tax in that part of the country, that they have been embarking on many communities in that area on a tax drive. More details in this edition of the Herald Tribune newspaper. We stay in Kondo Titi to talk about the rampant killings of in that part of the country, and women. Indian women say enough is enough. The women in the statement have condemned atrocities carried out by gunmen and the separatists in the division. They say enough is enough. It is high time those who are perpetrating killings in their division to stop. And let's talk about the new mayor of Limbe, the new city mayor of Limbe, who was elected. And so many newspapers this morning are telling us that the city mayor was imposed on councillors and the local population, as the Horizon newspaper is telling us this morning that CPDM Central Committee imposes Paul Efome Ngale as Limbe City Mayor. Thank you for watching, televiewers of My Media Prime Television. We are back to continue our discussions this morning. Maitre Alex Ndive is joining us as usual. Good morning, Maitre Alex, and thank you for joining once again.
Good morning, Mr. Lasha. Good morning, Gwladys, and your entire team. Always a pleasure to be on your program. And I want to say Happy Women's Day to our beautiful sister women in the Cameroons. And I'm here and I'm ready to contribute and to participate on your program as usual.
By Cameroon, the Guardian Post newspaper talking about a NEO that has justified the reasons why the entire nation is almost in darkness.
I must start by saying, Neon, they have a contract with their clients, the people that they are providing light with them. They cannot give any excuses because they must provide that light. It's just unfortunate that people don't understand in the Cameroons that when you have a contract and somebody, you might be selling fish, you have a refrigerator, your products might be damaged, you have to sue them. There's no justification. All what I can say it's happening in the Cameroons is that the law of diminishing marginal return is catching up with us. We are using things that instrument or equipment that about 5 million people to 7 million people used to use it. Now 27 million people are using it. That is the problem to me. There's no justification. Normally, companies have to look into the future. They have to anticipate that the population is increasing, and they have to ameliorate and update their equipment.
So, no, the justification doesn't hold water? Saying that the dams, waters are dried in the dams and poor, dilapidated infrastructure.
In the Western world, we have some of the worst natural disaster. Ever since I've been in the UK, I've never seen the light have never been off. It doesn't mean they don't have the same disaster. You have to update your equipment, and you have to understand that we live in a place that sometimes certain natural disaster can happen. It's just that most people who buy this company, they are interested only in making profit rather than providing the services that they are meant to do to our population.
Okay, Maitre, let's talk about the new city mayor of Limbe, who was voted on Friday. That was last Friday, and the election was supervised by a delegation led by the Minister of State, Minister of Higher Education, Professor Jacques Famindongo, and the Senior Divisional Officer for Fako Division. And we are told that the candidate was imposed on the population and the councillors in Limbe.
Well, I must start by congratulating Mr. Paul Efoma Lisomembole Ngale as the new city mayor of Limbe. But however, when we talk about elections, they should allow the local people to vote. When councillors, they sit, I don't know how many of them, assuming there are about 50 of them to make that decision, that is not really democracy. They must allow the people. I live here, we have in London, we have a mayor. The people vote for the mayor, not councillors. In Manchester, they have a mayor. The people, everyone, people like yourself and myself, we vote for them. So when you take this cabal, a group of people with no independent electoral commission, because why is Mr. Tamnjong, I understand he's Minister instead of Higher Education, what is he doing there? He doesn't concern.
No,
the local people
he was sent by the CPDM Central Committee.
My problem is he is a minister and he doesn't need to be there. At the end of the day, I saw a couple of lists. The people who were standing, I don't know some of them personally. There was Ndive, my namesake. There was the former assistant. There was Abel Ekema. But this name came from nowhere, so I'm very surprised. But however, what is done, and I send my congratulations to him.
Gwladys.
Oh, Maître, excusez-moi, je voudrais revenir un peu sur le cas des néos. On a l'impression au Cameroun que il n'y a qu'un néo qui peut gérer le problème d'électricité. Pourquoi ne pas avoir d'autres entreprises qui peuvent produire l'électricité au Cameroun? Pourquoi se focaliser uniquement sur une néo?
Thank you very much. That's a very good question, Gwladys. I've been thinking about that. What we need, the government have to privatize the electricity company so that other people should come in and there should be competition. Sometimes this competition is nice, unlike if the government was still running the neon. At least if they were still running it, sometimes the government or the public is nice to keep it. But I understand that there's no efficiency. They should privatize it so that other people should come in. There should be competition, and sometimes competition is good.
Competition is good, but why privatize a company that is supposed to, provide basic commodity or basic services to the local population? Why even privatize in the first place?
Before, the UK government used to run the electricity company and other companies. Now there are about more than 6 companies running electricity in the UK. So sometimes it is good because you have a choice. Either you want to use this company or not. The prices, they vary sometimes, so you have a choice. But sometimes, like other people, they believe that when the government manages it, the government can subsidize it. So, as you say, sometimes it's nice for the government, so the government can subsidize it because electricity is very important for everyone. So, to me, I'll be happy for the government to keep on running it, especially in a country like Cameroon.
Okay.
Maître, il y a des sociétés qui se plaignent qu'elles ont essayé de faire partie de ces sociétés-là qui peuvent apporter de l'énergie au Cameroun et même faire la promotion de l'énergie solaire, sauf qu'elles se sont retrouvées bloquées à un mur.
You know, there's a lot of bureaucracy and interest in Cameroon. There are a lot of things that people can do, like public-private partnership. People can come and cooperate to do things with the government. But to be honest, I would say in code, our country is like a communist country. The government is involved in everything. It's a nanny state. And people want to give those contracts to their own people. They want monopoly for everything. They want to make people not to have a choice. We are not interested. You see, most public contracts, they don't really advertise it for everybody to come and have a fair bidding. They just give it to their friends and cronies, and what I can say is what we call nepotism. They select the people who should do those things, and they are not interested in competition or to put on a fair bid where everyone can come in and put in a bid. And that's one of the issues, and that's the problem to me.
Yes, Maitre, let's talk about recurrent attacks or Ambazona attacks in Nguti or Indian division as a whole. And women have said enough is enough, and equally the attack, according to the Guardian Post newspaper, has been blamed on economic interests and porous borders with the neighboring Nigeria.
I am happy. I've read what the Guardian is talking about, but I would like to go back to what is a government. A government is an institution through which leaders, they exercise power to make and enforce laws. So when we talk about economic interests, they say amber. I will remove the word amber. I will say criminals are committing this crime. They go into palm oil, they seize palm farms and what? They are criminals. That's the general word. And they talk about porous border, which means that they can have access and run to Nigeria to and fro. And a lack of strong military base. We don't need military base inside country. We need community police. They talk about the topography and the flatland and it's forested, and they talk about it. Then they talk about poor telephone and internet. I come back to say, what are the functions of a government? When you are elected in office, you are there to govern. The functions of a government is to do what? To maintain order, to provide national security, to provide public services, provide economic security and economic assistance. When you go into the power, that's what you're going to do. But when you have a government who is there, it cannot provide what? Telephone. That's what? Public services. They cannot do it. Topography. You have to protect security. That's their function. A government is not just there to receive tax from people and embezzle it. And it comes back to the question, what the Guardian have listed. It goes back to what I said, Cameroon is a failed state. And a failed state is simple.
No.
Loss of control.
But we are living in Douala. How can you say Cameroon is a failed state, Maitre, when we all are living in Douala? It means somebody can just get up and, you do anything and go scot-free?
The characteristics of failed state is an international organization that put this characteristic. It's not Maitre Alex Ndive Singer.
What are some of the characteristics? What are some of the characteristics?
That's what I'm saying, loss of control of part of your territory. And if you go to a Kondo Titi, they are unable to control part of the territory. The erosion of legitimate collective decision. You see the Prime Minister saying one thing, Minister of Defense saying another thing. They cannot make collective decision. Inability to provide public services. Telephone, internet, all those things are public services. They are unable to do it. So my problem, I keep on appealing to the government of the Cameroons. You are a government. You have to govern. You have to maintain order. You have to provide national security, public services, economic assistance. It is your job. There are criminals in every country on earth. It's up to the government to deal with these criminals. You cannot be telling a criminal, oh, why are you stealing? Why are you doing this? They are criminals.
But there are people with legitimate. There are people with legitimate claims. Now, Maitre, they say they are not being treated well.
I'm not refusing. I also have a legitimate claim against the government of La République du Cameroon. My focus is on the government. My focus is not going around killing Jews, a section president of CPDM. Why are you telling your problem to them? And I want to make it clear, I condemn killing of any kind. Nobody have a right to take the life of any person, whether it's on the part of the government or civilian or whosoever. If you have a problem, I keep on saying, we all know where the palace is. You should be fighting and going through that direction. Allow our civilians to live peacefully, because civilians are not part of your war. When you attack schools, you attack civilians like the Geo section president, it is a war crime. I'm not saying you don't have legitimate problem. If you have your legitimate problem, we all know where Grand Katika, Mr. Bia is. You have to take it there. If you go to Yaoundé, you succeed. You will move Paul Biya in power. It is a revolution. You have succeeded. Leave our people to drink water. My God, they should leave them in peace. Don't involve civilians in a war. Lockdown is a war crime. Attacking hospital is a war crime. Attacking educational institution is a war crime. You cannot be a paramilitary or whatever you call yourself.
Do these people understand? Do these people understand some of the things that you are saying?
They have to. That's why I have to keep on talking. I will talk until they are going to die. That's part of my thing. I'm advocate. I'm a human rights defender. People usually ask me, Maitre, where do you stand? I say, no, I stand with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the right of education, the right to own property, the right of... That's where I stand. If the government is breaching it, I will criticize the government. If other actors are doing, non-state agents are not respecting human rights, I will stand with them. That's where I stand.
Even now, today and tomorrow is ghost towns, meaning that there will be no Women's Day in those parts of the country, those regions of the country.
You see, those things are war crime, and I will keep on again blaming the government, because if people sit somewhere, whether it's in the diaspora or back home, they do something, there is a procedure, a legal procedure. You can take these people, they can send them back to Cameroon. All you need to do is to get their name, look at the alleged crime, send it. If it's in America, send it to the Justice Department. The judges, they will look at it, they will make a decision. Government doesn't want to pay a lawyer. Let the government come and pay me, I will do it for them. If they cannot do it, it is a...
L'histoire de la musique camerounaise a été écrite par des grands artistes devenus des légendes. Le Makossa, le Bikotsi, la Siko, le Bensikin sont des gages de notre...
A party which believes so much in the election of mass election of parliamentarians into Cameroon's parliament to change the political narratives of the country. Thank you so much, Maitre, for coming. Thank you to televiewers of My Media Prime Television for watching this edition of the program, which was produced by Christain, Tebong. We were Bomotonguina, Gwladys, and myself, Lasha. Tomorrow is another day. Bye-bye.
L'histoire de la musique camerounaise a été écrite par des grands artistes devenus des légendes. Le Makossa, le Bikotsi, la Siko, le Bensikin sont des gages de notre patrimoine culturel musical.